That is the future calling. Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Currently, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in a state of limbo. They were supposed to start Phase 4 of their movies and their extended universe shows in 2020, but then the world went topsy-turvy, and that just didn't work out at all. So now we are starting to see the wheels turning on certain things, with more Disney Plus series getting their release dates, and the recently confirmed Spider-Man No Way Home coming out on Christmas. But let's look at this as a large perspective and ask, who is not making it out alive? Allow us to show you 7 MCU heroes who will die in Phase 4. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 7, T'Challa. Yep, we know this is a low blow, but it is one that needs to be said because of how the MCU is going to move forward. When the Black Panther character was introduced in Civil War, people were thrilled, especially when Chadwick Boseman was the one announced to be playing T'Challa. When the Black Panther movie came out, people were amazed by how great it was and how well the character of T'Challa, Shuri, Okoye, and more were portrayed and so on. And then the worst happened. Chadwick Boseman passed away of cancer, a malady that no one outside his closest friends and family knew about. The world was shocked, especially the MCU fans, because many wondered, what happens now? Well, we do have some answers on that because Black Panther 2 is still going ahead. They won't replace Chadwick Boseman, nor will they use CGI to make it seem like it's him. We're also getting a World of Wakanda Disney Plus series in the future to help keep the franchise alive. So, why are we mentioning him here? Well, it would be rude and honestly wrong for Marvel to not bring up T'Challa again. So thus, we are fully expecting Black Panther 2 to start with the burial of T'Challa and then showing the family dealing with their loss and showing how they'll honor his legacy. It'll be a way for both the cast and fans to mourn together one last time before taking that important step forward. Number 6, Peter Quill. We're going back to back with Guardians picks here, and for good reason. When Guardians of the Galaxy was announced, no one really knew what to expect because at that time, these were C-list heroes on a C-list group that only major Marvel Comics fans knew about, mainly because of their very sketchy continuity. However, via the power of James Gunn, and he has a lot of power, he made these bunch of a-holes one of the best groups of characters in the MCU, and both their first and second movies were smash hits. We would have had the third movie by now more than likely if Disney wouldn't have jumped the gun on a certain firing. But they since fixed that mistake and thus we are getting Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Given that, why do we think that Peter Quill will die in that film? Honestly, it fits his arc. The first movie was him finding a bigger purpose than himself and being more than a Ravager and a ladies' man. The second movie saw him finally meeting his father in Ego and then realizing what real family and love is all about. Infinity War nearly broke him as he lost Gamora, and Endgame put him on the path of finding Gamora, the pre-snap version, we don't understand it quite either, once again. So usually this would mean that the ending is him winning over Gamora again and then living happily ever after. But James Gunn doesn't like to play by the rules, as proven by the shift from the comics with Peter's father. And so it could be that Quill sacrifices himself to save Gamora and his team, and he gets to die a hero surrounded by his friends and family. A worthy end for a scoundrel, don't you think? Number 5, Drax. But should James Gunn go and keep Quill alive and hook him up with Gamora, someone on the Guardians needs to die. And if we're talking about a truly worthy candidate, Drax fits the mold for a very basic reason. Because in the movies and the comics, Drax was born for revenge. In the comics, it was a little more literal, but the movies showed that his vengeance was a driving force. First for Ronan the Accuser, and then for Thanos. He wanted them both dead, and now they are. Granted, at the end of the Avengers Endgame, we don't see too much from Drax in terms of his feelings on the matter because he's having too much fun making fun of Quill and egging on Thor to fight him. But eventually, it's going to hit him that his biggest purpose in life is gone, and he'll likely wonder in the third film, whatever that plot may be, what he is supposed to do now. True, he could still be with the team and even continue his friendship with Mantis, but would that be enough for him? Not unlike we outlined, it could be that Drax sacrifices himself and happily goes to the next life so that he can be with his family yet again. Number 4, Hulk. Now we say this one lightly because of the upcoming She-Hulk series, but there are a few things to consider here. Mainly, while it is true that The Incredible Hulk was one of the first MCU films, and Hulk has been a big part of the Avengers movies in big and small ways, he can't technically have his own solo movie due to a rights issue. That's why he was co-starring in Thor Ragnarok and why She-Hulk and not him are getting a Disney Plus series. There's another element to this though, and that is the fact that at the end of Avengers Endgame, the Infinity Gauntlet partially crippled Banner's arm. Now yes, they could make a case to where he heals his arm via gamma radiation or something like that, but it might honestly be better off for him to die instead of just linger. And his death could potentially be a big fuel for the She-Hulk series in one form or another. Or they'll just keep him alive and have two Hulks running free. It's hard to say what happens, to be honest. Number 3, Hank Pym. This one we know because of an actor versus a character's arc. A lot of people weren't happy when it was revealed that the Ant-Man movies would have the second Ant-Man and Scott Lang suiting up versus the original Ant-Man and Hank Pym, especially since it was Pym and not Tony Stark who made Ultron in the comics. Granted, Hank Pym was a big player in the movies via actor Michael Douglas, and we even got to meet Janet Van Dyne via Michelle Pfeiffer in the second film. But with the third Ant-Man film, it is possible and honestly likely that Hank Pym's time will come to an end, mainly because Michael Douglas is old, very old, and Marvel honestly can't know how long he'll keep going. As such, it might be wiser to end the character's time on screen versus having a Chadwick Boseman situation once again. Plus, it would be a big story beat in the MCU as Scott will have lost his mentor and the guy who believed in him more than just about anyone else. It is still sad that we never got to see Hank Pym truly shine in the MCU, but if they can give him a good send-off, it might be worth it. Number 2, Vision. Don't worry, we are not going and spoiling Wandavision for you yet, but it is a question/suggestion that needs to be talked about, because as we all know, the Vision was killed by Thanos after he took the Mind Stone out of his head, and yet he's still alive in Wandavision somehow. Now, many think this is Wanda's doing, and she's just resurrected him with her reality warping powers, but certain teasers and spoilers seem to tease that something else is going on here. The end of the season/series is fast approaching, and given that, we might finally get the answer as to who or what the Vision is in this current form. If he is alive, now that would be a twist, but if he is found out to be more of an imposter of some kind, well, that means that he has to go. Right, Wanda? No more Vision? Number 1, Thor. This one you can honestly play both ways due to the upcoming movie. Now we know that Thor Love and Thunder is going to focus on many different elements of the Thor mythos, not the least of which is Valkyrie being named Allfather and apparently looking for a queen. Then there is Thor, who apparently will have a renewed purpose and a new villain to fight via Gore the God Butcher. And finally, Jane Foster will return and will become the mighty Thor like she did in the comics. So that right there is 3 very prominent characters vying for time, not just in the present movie, but potential future ones. Usually that means that one has to go, and it might just be that Thor Odinson's time has come to a close. After all, Gore the God Butcher is one of the most powerful enemies that he has ever faced, and led to many major changes in Marvel Comics, including Thor becoming unworthy, and Jane eventually getting Mjolnir and becoming the mighty Thor. Now, Chris Hemsworth has been in the MCU for a long time, and has eclipsed both Iron Man and Captain America by having 4 movies to their 3. Perhaps it's time for Thor Odinson to go and enter Valhalla. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the characters that might just go and die in the next phase of everything? Do you agree that some of these characters are likely to die? Which ones are you sad to potentially see go? Do you think that there is more death coming that we just don't know about yet? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.